Everyone, this is Vickerman, and today we are back with Kerbal Space Program at last. And today we are beginning, well, I've done some stuff already, but we are beginning a new series where we will attempt the most difficult thing possible, I would think. Well, maybe not the most difficult thing, but we will be going to Eve. And we're playing Sandbox just because, you know, they've released version 1.1 and things are sort of reset, and you know, we had to start over. So I didn't really want to go through getting the campaign up to this point because I've kind of done all the beginning stuff many times. So here's our situation. I have taken the liberty of going ahead and starting. See this thing here, we can go ahead and recover. That's junk there. Let's see. We shall fly here. This is the space station, Alfonso. I don't know why I called it that, but that's just the way it is. So, I've assembled it, and there was a solar panel here, but, you know, things happen when you're trying to dock. I got the docking indicator mod, and that has helped out a whole lot. But anyway, this is our space station, and we have actually a considerable amount of fuel up here that is going to be super useful for our ongoing missions. Now, the way this is set up is we've got this thing actually is full too. So there's a lot of fuel over here. But anyway, we've got, we're a little low on monopropellant though. So we've got the main pod here. We've got a science lab. And then this was actually the ascent stage for the main core. We ended up not using all the fuel, so there's no point in getting rid of it, I think. But anyway, once we have used this fuel, we can actually fire this decoupler, and this becomes one of the large docking ports for us. We can have another spot for us. As you can see here, we have a shielded docking port and this little adapter piece, which is also like a little tugboat probe type of thing. And basically it has adapted so that we have a large docking port here for this thing. The idea is that once this is gone, this fuel storage can dock over here. And then we can always reconfigure things for what we need, for whatever we need to dock. Although, as I'm thinking about it, we probably need to just bring another piece up here to attach here that is going to be a lot more docking ports because we're going to run out of space pretty quickly. So anyway, that's the space station. It's pretty well ready to go, and we can use it for anything that we need to use it for as we move forward. We'll head back to the Space Center. Now, the idea here is that we are probably going to need a fuel source in the Eve system. So, I think we ought to maybe use the moon of Gilly because it has super low gravity and such. We should be able to get off the surface fairly efficiently. So, I think maybe we want to put a mining ship together that can land on Gilly and get us some mining stuff so that we can produce fuel to return. So we are gonna test that out and see if we can figure out how the mining works, because I've not done it yet. So in order to test it, I think we will be sending a small expedition to Menmus, because it's about as close to Gilly as we can get without actually going there as far as gravity and such. So we will prepare an expedition to go to Menmus. So what will we need? We are going to need, We're not going to need ladders for this ship because of the super low gravity. So what we want is basically a main lander component here. So let's go with the standard tanks. Where have they sorted those these days? So something like that. That'll probably be enough fuel for us. And then we will use the drills. Okay, so let's try this out. Now, what we want to do is deploy it, and I'm fairly certain that what we want is for that to be able to go into the surface. So now we need an appropriate landing strut, and I think maybe we'll go with 4 just for added stability. I'm not sure how unstable this thing will be. Maybe that's a little too... Yeah, I think that is probably the way we want to go. And we only want 2 of these, I think. Okay, and we'll need an engine here. Terrier's probably just fine for this application here. Landing on Minmus does not require much thrust. So let's, I think we need to test this thing out to make sure that, and for safety, let's put a parachute on the top. We'll need to make sure that I don't want to go all the way to Minmus and then not be able to reach the ground with our drills. So those use probably a whole lot of electricity, so I'm gonna slap some batteries on there just for our test. Put like 16 batteries or something like that. And yes, there's nowhere for this to go, so maybe we need to put an ore tank in there as well. Xenon, Rockamax. Okay, where's the ore at? I thought it was in this section. But maybe it's not. Aha. This will hold 1,500 ore. That is big. Okay, maybe we want to make this thing a bit larger then. Okay, does it need to be attached? Does the ore tank need to be attached to the actual drills? That I'm not sure. But that's why we're testing. I suspect probably not. So let's... is this thing gonna have enough thrust? No, it's not gonna be able to get us anywhere. That might be okay, but just in case we need to move the ship, we'll pop one of those boogers out. Well, that's not gonna work, is it? All right, we won't move the ship. Let's just try this and see if the. I mean, we're on the launch pad, but start surfaced harvester. Okay, that has gone up very, very slightly. So this is, it seems to be working as intended. Temperature, going to be kind of a big problem for us. So, all right, we're going to need a fairly larger vessel than I was initially thinking. So in that case, let's go ahead and we're going to use the large fuel tank then. But we can probably get away with this because we can make more fuel for ourselves if we need it, right? And then we also need the refinery. Oh, did I use the junior? Okay. Convert Otron. So, oh, no, that's not gonna work really. And since we have the large engine, let's go ahead and pop a poodle on there. And we'll use regular mining excavators, I think. And that goes way down. Okay. So let's see about some pretty... Do we have bigger legs than that? Let's see if this does it for us. And yeah, that's a little bit more quick. Okay, I think that's a decent setup there. Now, for this thing to be functional, right, we're gonna need let's actually replace the command pod here with a bigger one. This is gonna have to connect to other vessels if we're gonna actually use the fuel that we're making here. So we'll need a docking port. It's not attaching very well. Okay, so we'll also need radiators. So this thing cools up to 4x part temperature. Well, we probably better have a pretty good amount of these things. So is this deployed then? Oh no, holy cow. Theoretically, that should do it, you would think. That's probably way overkill. I would think. Let's go with medium. Yeah, that isn't too ridiculous. And then we will need power as well. A lot of it, so we'll probably need something like this. Obviously this thing is going to need to be enclosed when we launch it, so that all these bits don't fall off. And yeah, hopefully that works for us. We can give it a try. Well, of course it's it's nighttime now. I'm gonna go ahead and extend these just in case we lose power overnight. We'll recharge. And the radiator. And we'll deploy these puppies. And let's warp to day. Whoa. So now what we're trying to determine is if we're going to have enough power here. So running 1 is just fine. And running 2, we are stable there. Cooling 16%. Core temperature. Okay, so it's letting that go up to full optimal temperature, and then it's going to the radiators now. What happens if we do this? So yeah, that's working pretty well, I think. And we filled up our ore. So stop. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to burn a little bit of fuel. We're not going to go anywhere. We shouldn't, because I don't think our thrust to weight is high enough. And now we shall run this thing. Spooling up there. And we're getting a little bit of fuel. Okay, what we may do may want to have a refinery satellite that has larger tanks. But anyway, it seems like all these systems are functioning as intended. We are keeping within the correct temperatures, and we have stable power, which should be even better once we get to Eve or Gilly, because we'd be closer to the sun, and thus we would have greater usage from the solar panels. Yes. Okay. I think this is a great start to the mining vessel. This should work. We will test it on Minmus before we go to Eve. But for now, we will end the episode, and I'll see about building a launch vehicle for this. Actually, what we should do first is get a scanning satellite going, because I kind of forgot we have to figure out what the best location for ore is. So we will check that out next time. We'll save this design for use later. We'll send it to Minmus once we send a satellite out there to scan for the proper mineral deposits. But I'm pretty pleased with this basic design. I think it's going to work for us. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you next time in Kerbal Space Program.